Action! Ready yourself!
Someday soon.
I hadn't thought about doing a biblical story, but I was very impressed with the story of Moses because I hadn't known much about Moses. And I was sent the screenplay by Mr. Chernin, and what knocked me sideways was how much I didn't know about Moses, and the evolution of his story was extraordinary. So I thought it would make a great movie. And I hadn't done Egypt before, and I thought that was a challenge too.
Can you talk about the difference of recreating a distant past from versus recreating a distant future? Because you've done both in the screen.
The distant past's easier.
Why?
The future is more difficult because I think there's so many futuristic films being made, and 40 years of Star Trek, they've experienced almost every shape of spaceship you could possibly imagine. So it's very difficult to get original in futuristic things. I think that's why Blade Runner was so original, because it was a look at the future. I think I got that right because it wasn't too exotic. The distant past is much easier because you've got a lot of reference. Distant future is much more difficult because you're really having to use your imagination as to evolution, where it's going to go. And I met Christian about, 5 years ago, and we talked about doing something, and I watched him evolve over the years, next 5 years, and I would wait for the right thing. And in fact, a year or 2 years ago, I produced something that he was in called Out of the Furnace. Very good film, plays a steel worker, it was very good. And then I loved American Hustle. And at that moment, I was kind of thinking about who, and I thought he's ready. I just called him up, and I said it was Moses, and he went, "Oh no," and because he thought it was going to be some biblical epic, which of course it isn't. I think it's a real story about a real character.
I came here to tell you that something is coming that is out of my control.
Do you think about audiences when you thought about bringing the story, even if it's like you say, it's a story about a character, not biblical per se?
No, I think about what I'm going to do. I think about what I would like to do, and think about what I can do for it, and how interesting it will be, how exciting it will be to do. It's got to get me, going. For me to say I'm going to spend I was pretty quick actually, the next 10 months of making this movie. I've got to carry a lot of passion for it. Anything I do, have to. So I never do it for any other reason than that.